Today I'm on Prehistoric Kingdom and I'm going to be building a Archaeopteryx enclosure, and luckily for me there's sort of like base to exhibits rather than being able to free roam around the enclosure. So I'm going to place at least 3 of these exhibits within the enclosure. The outdoor area that I'm making, I'll be putting 2, and then on the inside I'll be placing 1. So with them being glued to these sort of exhibit areas, I have a bit more free reign. I don't have to worry about hitboxes, about making doorways certain sizes. So I'm going to have like this small like little hatch I'm going to make for the crossing over between indoor and outdoor areas. I see this is the mesh thing I was going on about, and I could kind of tell. I was like, how do I get rid of this outdoor bit? In the end, I sort of figure it out and I start placing down the exhibit areas within where I wanted them. And what I did here, as you can see, this is the hatch that's going on about. I don't have to worry about it being this like particular size so they can get through it. So I kind of have a lot of like creative freedom with this. And basically I have it so it's like a slider, so the keepers can like get the creatures back into the indoor bit and then just slide it shut. So this could be for over winter. They might lock them in at night for their own protection. You never know if a fox could somehow break in there, etc. I don't know who would win, a fox or an Archaeopteryx. Like, it'd be a very good question really, because they look like they could be quite vicious. And you see here I'm just like making the handle for the door so they can easily grab it and slide it. But yeah, so as well on the indoor bit, I'm going to have like a staff prep area where they would like prep the food for them, and maybe like a few other bits and bobs for like cleaning the enclosure. And on the outside, I didn't want it being like a pointy roof or all the way up brick, so I kind of like changed it to this like metal. And then what I did was put these steel beams in place, so it's like a transition between the two materials, and then go straight from brick to metal. Try and make it look like it is a supported real building kind of thing. On the inside bit, I'm going to be making this like mesh area. So the way I can imagine it is when the keepers are making the food for the Archaeopteryx, they would be like hanging onto the mesh, sort of like looking down, seeing what the keepers are doing and getting all excited that the food is coming. That's what I can imagine it being like. You can see here I'm just trying to neaten it up a little bit, trying to get it so it's not sticking through the metal. And like I said, I wanted this sort of flat roof, and I did a skylight to let natural light into the building, so it just looks nicer from looking through the window. And as you can see, this is like a really big upgrade compared to how I made my Microraptor house. Like, it just feels like a lot of, like, very extra. I even did like this signboard on the outside to the building, so when you're looking inside you can get a little bit of information. Now I was like thinking in my head, do I want a load of Archaeopteryx sort of like signs all over it with different colours so it looks like a giant, like say, flock or pack, whatever you want to call it. But in the end I just settled with 2, because I was like, I don't know if it'd look too much. And then just add for a bit of realism, I can't fully remember the name of what you give this stone. When you look at a lot of buildings, a lot of doors have that stone over. It's like a supporting stone or something like that, and I've forgotten the name of it. I did know the name, I've been told it a few times, but I just feel like it just adds a bit more character to the building. This bit here is where I'm going to be making the mesh that goes over the outside, completing that sort of aviary look, rather than it being like a complete indoor building. You have this outdoor run sort of thing going on, and it took a while to like line up all the mesh perfectly, especially when I get to the curved mesh, but I do enjoy the way that this ends up looking. Like, it's very aesthetically pleasing to me, seeing like these supporting bars going across for the mesh. And yeah, it adds like a really interesting look to it, I feel. In this outdoor area as well, I'm going to try and make it look very desert-like. I'll be placing this build once I'm done with it onto the workshop so you can download it and have a go. I feel like from the time this video is put out, it'll already be on the workshop, and the only things you'd actually have to do to this enclosure would be to add the sand. And I kind of made it this sort of like grit look, so I used the desert sand, and I'll be using like pebbles, I think from Coastal, if I remember rightly, just to like give it that sort of like man-made mixed feeling, so it's not just completely bare sand and has like layers to it. Makes it look interesting, different, rather than it just being complete sand. It's got texture to it, and overall just adds that sort of like desired look I'm kind of going for, with sort of like desert rocky vibe. I'm going to build up like rocks at the back and probably on the sides, and then plant matter here and there that sort of fits that kind of like desert like vibe. And something I find interesting about the mesh, when you have it on its side, it looks completely different from looking on top. It kind of makes it feel when you close up like it's two different materials, but when you get like a bit zoomed out or you're within the enclosure, it is barely noticeable, the change in colour. Obviously it's got to do with the lighting, but when I've been moving the lighting around, it seems to keep its colour to me. It's weird, it's just something I know I'm nitpicking. It does look strange to me, but luckily, like when you, like I said, when you're looking at the enclosure from the side or inside it sort of does match up, but when you zoomed in on it, it just looks really weird to me. I don't know why. But yeah, this is what I was going about, like adding the desert plants here and there, just to sort of like lush it out a bit, make it feel like it has been designed from the ground up. On the inside as well, I wanted more of a tropical vibe, and then I make this like, I use the is it compost? I've forgotten what it's called right now, but basically compost, and I make these beams so it's like railway sleepers, keeping the soil in, so it's got a concrete area and then this planted soil area for them to knock around in. And yeah, pretty much done with the speed build here, just adding like those few extra bits like the lights and make sure it's nice and bright. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and if it's given you some inspiration if your builds in the future. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this build, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video. See you next time.